Only two signal callers in league history have secured back-to-back 14-win campaigns, Tom Brady and Sam Darnold. Taken third overall at 21, he joined a Jets squad that had been a disaster since before he was born. From the jump, he was fighting for his life, shaky blocking, shifting staff, and total dysfunction. Then the turnovers started, the primetime collapses mounted, and one specific nightmare began to define him. Seeing ghosts. In that instant, the verdict was in. Sam Darnold was not a franchise savior. As his peers became superstars, Darnold was labeled a draft bust until he arrived in Minnesota. When rookie Jajam McCarthy went down, Darnold took the wheel and absolutely stunned the football world. A career-best season with statement victories proved his professional story was far from over. But one postseason exit revived the old doubts. He cannot win big games, so Minnesota moved on. Most guys fade away then. Not Sam. He landed in Seattle and completely reinvented his entire legacy. From New York washout to Carolina castoff to sitting on the pine in San Francisco. He became the first 2018 passer to lead a Super Bowl charge and do the unthinkable. Win it all. This is the most incredible redemption arc in the history of the sport. Before anyone doubted Sam, they should have looked at his bloodline, starting with his grandfather, Dick Hammer. Hammer was a legendary multi-sport titan, leading UCC to the 1954 Final Four on the hardwood. He later represented the United States as an Olympic volleyball star during the 1964 games. He set track records, then served as a fire captain at Universal Studios, a true American powerhouse. Somewhere along the way, he became a cultural icon as the face of the Marlboro Man. That was the family standard, and young Sam was destined to carry that torch forward. Back at San Clemente High, Sam Darnold was a pure athlete long before he mastered the pocket. He was a baseball standout who also dominated the court. Basketball might have been his true calling, a two-time league MVP. His coach claimed he was a lock for high-level Division I college hoops. On the gridiron, though, the path was different. He started at receiver and linebacker until a sophomore year injury forced him into the quarterback spot mid-game. Darnold threw a score and then scrambled for the winning two-point conversion himself. He eventually took full command of the offense, and the results were nothing short of legendary. Records shattered instantly as he racked up multiple 5-touchdown performances throughout his high school career. A 4-star dual-threat weapon, he was a top 8 recruit when he chose the local powerhouse, USAC. Even there, the road was bumpy. Coaches were still trying to figure out where he fit. Defensive staff wanted him at linebacker, while he spent 2015 redshirting behind older veteran players. He began 2016 as a backup, but after a 1-2 start, the team made the switch. In his debut start against Utah, he totaled 253 yards and a rushing touchdown. That was the turning point. The Trojans did not lose another game for the rest of that season. With Sam starting, UC averaged 37 points. He set freshman records with 31 scores and a massive rating. He officially wiped the old freshman touchdown marks right out of the Trojan record books. He became the first UCC passer ever to throw 5 touchdowns in back-to-back contests. He ran for 250 yards, a 20-year high for USC passers, while dominating the big stage. In the Rose Bowl, Darnold put on one of the most electric performances in the history of the game. 453 passing yards and 5 touchdowns. Every Rose Bowl record was his that night. He was named Conference Freshman of the Year and became the first rookie ever to win the Archie Griffin Award. Suddenly, everyone saw him as the next big thing in American football. By 2017, he was the Heisman favorite and a locked-in top 5 draft prospect. But 6 games in, he had already matched his interception total from the entire previous year. He finished with 20 interceptions and 9 lost fumbles over 20 games. The wins came, but so did the chaos. He led UCC to a conference title, proving his high ceiling while revealing a dangerously unpolished game. Winning masked his 22 interceptions. High upside met zero safety net. That 2018 class was loaded. Mayfield had hype. Allen was a physical freak. Rosen was the refined, textbook passer. Lamar was a human scoring machine. Critics doubted Lamar. Sam was just 21. Cleveland chose swagger. Buffalo chose strength. New York gambled everything to move up. The Jets grabbed the quarterback. They sacrificed 3 picks for him. Decades of failure defined this pick. Their offense was the league's basement. He was thrown into the fire. A record-breaking debut on Monday night. His first throw was a pick 6. Every nightmare scenario came true instantly. Somehow, the kid kept fighting back. They dropped 48 points that night. 2 scores made him a star, that victory was his only piece. 4-pick games became a recurring nightmare. A 6-game skid crushed their season. Injuries and blame hit him simultaneously. They blamed him, not the protection. His rookie numbers were pure chaos. 17 scores could mask the struggle. Their line was a revolving door. The scheme forced him into mistakes. They blew a 16-point lead instantly. That game was an easy win. Then, a freak illness ended everything. Mono sapped his strength in season. He returned against a vicious defense. He threw a 92-yard career bomb. He was the league's best, briefly. Then, New England arrived to destroy. The Patriots' defense haunted his pocket. They were down 24 by halftime. A microphone caught his total breakdown. He was seeing ghosts out there. 4 picks and a total humiliation. New York's patience finally ran dry. 2020 opened with failure. The stats lied. The game was ugly. Facing San Francisco the following week, he punched in another score. But the unit completely failed to move the chains. Disaster struck in Week 3 against Indy as Sam coughed up 3 picks, including 2 house calls for the defense, while a brutal end zone safety limited the Jets to a measly 7 points. Despite the collapse, he never stopped fighting to make a play. Under the Thursday night lights in Denver, Sam delivered his most dominant performance as a Jet, racking up 230 passing yards and 86 rushing yards, including a breathtaking 46-yard touchdown sprint. But that moment of glory carried a heavy price. A nagging shoulder injury forced him into a multi-game hiatus, shattering what little momentum he had built before he returned in Week 7 to find the same nightmare waiting. Trapped in collapsing pockets with zero margin for error, he crumbled against Buffalo, throwing 2 more interceptions and managing a dismal 120 passing yards. A fortnight later, his shoulder buckled again, sidelining him further and bringing his total to 23 sacks over just 12 grueling starts. He limped to the finish line with 9 scores and 11 picks as the Jets' offense went ice cold, averaging under 17 points a game during a miserable 2-14 campaign. By the time the final whistle blew, it felt like the end of an era rather than just a bad season. And on April 5th, 2021, the hammer finally dropped. The face of the franchise was officially on the move as the Jets shipped their starting quarterback off to the Carolina Panthers. Carolina rolled the dice, surrendering a 6th-round flyer plus future 2nd and 4th-round assets for a former number 3 overall pick who was still only 23 years old. This was supposed to be the career resurrection Sam desperately needed. On paper, the Panthers were the perfect landing spot, boasting a top 10 defense and a roster of playmakers designed to make any quarterback look good. With a healthy Christian McCaffrey back in the fold and DJ Moore fresh off a 1,200-yard season, the stage was set. Even his most reliable target from New York, Robbie Anderson, was already there waiting to reignite their chemistry. Before he even took a snap, the front office went all in by picking up his $19 million, fully guaranteed 5th-year option, sending a clear message of total confidence. The mandate was to lead, and the early returns were electric as the Panthers rode to a 3-0 start. Sam was dealing, eclipsing 300 yards twice and accounting for 7 total touchdowns in that opening stretch. He was playing with a career-high efficiency and even gashed defenses for 5 rushing scores in his first 4 appearances. But then the honeymoon ended as the protection began to crumble. The offensive line became a sieve, surrendering pressure at a league-high rate. And once defenses adjusted and Christian McCaffrey went down, the season turned into a tailspin. After that first month, those old turnover ghosts returned as his touchdown numbers plummeted and the interceptions began to stack up. Carolina spiraled into a black hole, losing 7 of 8 contests while Sam's accuracy and passer rating fell off a cliff. To make matters worse, a fractured shoulder blade knocked him out of commission for over a month. By the time he recovered, his starting role was gone. The team brought in former top pick Baker Mayfield for the 2022 season, turning the position into a wide-open battle. Sam lost that training camp deal, then suffered a brutal high ankle sprain that banished him to injured reserve before the season even kicked off. When he finally touched the field in November, the head coach had been fired, yet he managed to toss 7 scores against only 3 picks in 6 starts. He willed the team to a 4-2 record while posting the most disciplined interception rate of his entire professional career. Yet by the end of 2022, the league had already made up its mind. The former top 3 pick was officially a bust. Sam found himself facing yet another career reset, only this time the world had stopped watching. 2023 saw him land in San Francisco, marking his first stint within a gold standard, elite football organization. Under the tutelage of Kyle Shanahan, he spent his days dissecting how a world-class offensive machine actually operates. He witnessed how elite preparation and a rock-solid system could rebuild a quarterback's shattered confidence. From the ground up, by late summer, he defied the critics by outdueling Trey Lance to secure the backup spot. His playing time was limited that year, but whenever he stepped onto the grass, he looked like a completely different player. In the regular season final against the Rams, with the primary starters taking a breather, Sam took the wheel and efficiently racked up 189 yards and a touchdown, plus another score on the ground. More importantly, he absorbed a winning culture every day, supporting Brock Purdy while preparing for a deep run through the playoffs. After a journey all the way to the Super Bowl, the game finally clicked for him again, a season he later called a vital turning point. He credited the Niners' obsessive attention to detail for fundamentally changing how he processed the game of football. It wasn't a comeback on the stat sheet, but in the shadows, he was building the foundation for a massive resurgence. The Vikings hit a massive crossroads in the 2024 offseason when their longtime anchor, Kirk Cousins, finally moved on. Minnesota bet the farm on J. McCarthy. Yet shoving a rookie into a playoff contender is a dangerous roll of the dice. They required a steady veteran hand to keep the ship upright if the wheels fell off. Enter Sam Darnold. Spring 2024 saw the Vikings ink him to a $10 million one-year prove-it deal. It was a quiet insurance policy most ignored. The plan, be a veteran seat warmer while McCarthy studied the playbook. Then, August shattered the script, McCarthy's knee blew out, and the Vikings' entire blueprint vaporized instantly. In a heartbeat, Sam Darnold wasn't a placeholder. He was the franchise's only hope. His Minnesota debut was surgical, hitting 19 of 24 passes. No heroics, just pure cold efficiency. He doubled down the next week, carving up the defense with multiple scores and 0 mistakes. By late September, the stat sheet was unbelievable. 4 games, 932 yards, 11 touchdowns, 0 picks, and elite numbers, even when the honeymoon ended and the turnovers returned. When drives died and games got gritty, the response was different. The old Darnold would be folded, this one adapted. By December, the Vikings were a juggernaut. 14 wins, a lethal offense, and 7 Pro Bowlers leading the charge. And Sam Darnold, he was torching his own personal record books. 4,319 yards, 35 scores, and a triple-digit rating. Then, the floor dropped out. That regular season finale in Detroit exposed a terminal flaw. The high-octane offense just flatlined. Momentum died, replaced by playoff anxiety. In the wildcard round against the Rams, the nightmare became a reality. The pocket turned into a graveyard as Darnold ate 9 sacks for 82 lost yards, including a devastating pick 6. It was his playoff debut, and it looked nothing like the MVP caliber season that earned him the start. A 14-win Titan erased in a single brutal night. The Vultures returned. The talk wasn't about the wins anymore, but about Darnold's inability to win the big one. Minnesota stood at a crossroads with a massive choice to make. Pay the man or let him walk. Ultimately, Darnold packed his bags for the Seattle Seahawks. 3 years, $100.5 million, a deal designed for a quick exit if the spark faded. Seattle wasn't looking back. They cleared house, moving on from Geno Smith, Tyler Lockett, and D.K. Metcalf. They pivoted to a suffocating defense and a punishing, patient ground game. They built a precision-based receiving corps around Jackson Smith-Njigba, alongside veteran Cooper Kupp and mid-season spark plug Rashid Shaheed. By the bye week, Seattle was sitting pretty at 5-2. Then came the night that put the league on notice. Week 9, Washington, under the bright lights. Darnold opened 13 for 13. Rifling 4 touchdowns without a single ball hitting the turf, a feat untouched by any quarterback in nearly a decade. By November, Seattle wasn't just winning, they were dominating. Smith-Njigba was busy demolishing franchise records. Even their failures felt like progress. Despite throwing 4 picks against the Rams in Week 11, Seattle fought until the final whistle. They were resilient. By December, they blanked Minnesota for their first shutout in 10 years, winning a brutal defensive slugfest. Then they pulled a miracle out of thin air against the Rams. Down 15 in the fourth, they stormed back to win in overtime on a historic 2-point conversion under the new rules. Week 18 arrived with everything on the line. Seattle invaded Levi's Stadium and dismantled San Francisco 13-3, holding the Niners to a pathetic 173 yards. They locked up the NFC West, the top seed, and a record-breaking 14th win. Darnold suddenly joined elite company, matching Tom Brady as the only passer to spearhead back-to-back 14-win seasons. But the postseason loomed, the exact stage where critics expected Darnold to choke. The divisional round brought the Niners to Seattle. The pressure was suffocating, but the Seahawks did flinch. Before the crowd even sat down, Rashid Shaheed ignited the stadium with a kickoff return touchdown. Lumen Field was shaking, the fuse was lit. San Francisco tried to respond, crossing midfield with desperation. But Seattle's defense feasted, forcing 6 turnovers and scoring in every single frame. It was a defensive masterclass, and in the eye of the storm, Sam Darnold played the game of his life. He went 12 for 17 with a score, slamming the door on any 49ers comeback. That 41-6 blowout mirrored the pure dominance everyone felt in the stands. Seattle's first playoff win in years secured a title shot. Then, the stakes exploded. The Rams arrived with massive momentum and a history of haunting the Seahawks. This was the squad that forced 4 interceptions from Darnold earlier that year. Facing his personal kryptonite, Darnold delivered the most clinical game of his life. He racked up 346 yards and 3 scores, finding 7 different targets. As the clock bled out, the ghosts of his past finally vanished. He stayed lethal. He didn't shrink. He owned the stage, 31-27. Seattle finally bounced the Rams, reclaiming their throne as kings of the Knicks. Sam Darnold was officially headed to the Super Bowl as the starter. He was the first quarterback from the 2018 class to get there. Hoisting the trophy amidst the Lumen Field thunder, he looked completely unshakable. The redemption arc peaked in Northern California, Levy Stadium, Santa Clara, February 8, 2026, Super Bowl 60. His opponent, the New England Patriots, the same franchise that marked the absolute rock bottom of his career. The team that made ghosts a meme. This wasn't That Fragile Jets rookie. He wasn't playing for his life or trying to prove his worth. He was the leader of a 14-3 powerhouse, ruling the NFAs. Only 60 minutes from immortality, but Super Bowls test even the greatest stories. Seattle pushed deep early but stalled, settling for a quick 3 points. Another drive, another field goal. Half ended 9-0 in a gritty, high-tension defensive war. The defense hammered Drake May with 6 sacks until Darnold finally broke through. On a short field, he fired a 16-yard strike to Ajbana. Then the defense slammed the door, picks, kicks, and a late score. Final. Seahawks 29, Patriots 13, from bust to champion. The ghosts were gone. No one is asking if Sam Darnold belongs anymore. They're just waiting for the encore. Stay with Blitz and hit subscribe. Check out our other content right here.